A hero in China, perhaps, but not back here in his homeland. Other members of 731 consider Shinozuka a traitor, brainwashed by the Chinese authorities. They still maintain their unit was a force for good and have no sympathy for the prisoners who were vivisected.
これは相手の国の人が言うとることで、日本の国の側から見ますとね、死刑囚ですからね。特にうちの部隊に与えられたのは死刑の執行人ですわな。
Toshimi Mizubuchi used to teach 731's recruits. He now leads a comfortable life in Kobe and organises the unit's annual reunion. When the war was lost, Mizubuchi was given the job of destroying the evidence, including leftover prisoners.
これはマルタ収容施設は密閉した部屋になってますんで、普通の場合はパイプから空気を送ってるんですね。それを今のメタンガスにそういうふうに切り替えたようですね。はい。それでいわゆる窒息死させたわけですね。これはうちの部隊の。
As many as 12,000 human guinea pigs died at Harbin, but from this member of Unit 731, there's no apology and no remorse.
僕は誇りに思ってますね。若ければね、部隊は面白い部隊だったと思いますから、やってみてもいいなと思いますね。
Japan has a selective and subjective approach to its military past. They say the victors write history, but that's not always true. Japan lost the war, but more than half a century on, is still manufacturing its own version of it, a fiction the United States has been happy to endorse. The Yasukuni Shrine honours the 2.5 million Japanese who have died fighting for their country, including convicted war criminals. Each year, on the anniversary of Japan's defeat in World War II, thousands come to pay their respects. It's Anzac Day with attitude. As far as these people are concerned, Japan has nothing to apologise for.
全部嘘。中国は悪いことしたんですよ。日本がアジアになかったら中国はもう西洋人にアフリカのように分割されてますよ。
Kihachiro Shimizu is a professor at a respected university. He's convinced Unit 731 never existed.
みんなでたらめなんですよ。軟禁虐殺だってそういう人引っ張り出してきた調べ出してお金もらってったりする。そのうちにね、50年、100年経ったら本当の歴史が分かりますから、日本民族ぐらい悪いことしたら見たことないんですよ。だから世界の強国になってるでしょ。
In China, children are taught about 731 in gruesome detail. The main building of the unit's headquarters in Harbin has been turned into a museum. 150,000 people visit each year. Japanese children are given a very different version of history. Few of these students have ever heard of 731. Pupils are taught virtually nothing about the Second World War. Most teachers leave the subject out of class altogether, saying they don't have time to cover it.
どうしてもやっぱり日本の場合、その戦争、天皇についてはこれは触れるのはタブーだっていうような、漠然とした雰囲気といいますかね、意識がありますので、ですから、高等学校までの勉強では大学受験でその部分が出されないので、そう触れる必要もなかろうっていう感覚になるんだろうとは思いますね。
ポルトガル人が種子島
Many school textbooks present Japan as a liberator rather than invader, a victim, not an aggressor.
If the Ministry of Education had their druthers, it would be an orchestrated collective amnesia. In terms of the textbook screening process, they have presided over a long-term whitewashing of Japan's past, particularly the shared past with Asia. I think there has been, in the past, a tendency to sweep the unpleasant history under the national tatami mat.
This is the public face of Japanese denial, an ultra-nationalist group prowling the streets of Tokyo. There are more than 900 groups like this one. They're well organised and well connected, with ties to the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, or LDP. An increasing number of Japanese are questioning the country's past, but for the government, the issue is taboo. It remains captive to a nationalist constituency.
It's not like in France or in Germany or in Great Britain, where the ultranationalists basically are out of the mainstream political, debate. I mean, they are part of the mainstream.
Japan's denial is extraordinary, but so is the overseas reaction. If the German government were to refuse to acknowledge the Holocaust, there'd be international outrage. When Tokyo does something similar with Unit 731, though, there's barely a murmur outside Asia. One reason is that the United States did a very dirty deal, a deal that renders its crusade against biological weapons in Iraq ironic, to say the least.
Tokyo, 1946, and with the war over, the war crimes trials began. None of Unit 731's leaders were charged with any crime. The Americans saw to that. They wanted this, Japan's warfare data, and did a secret deal with General Ishii to get it. With the Cold War underway, Washington was terrified the research would fall into Soviet hands.
I mean, this is the first time that scientists, could get access to human guinea pigs subjected to various germs and various medical experiments. So for the Americans, they offered immunity because they wanted, the unique access to all of this data. The Japanese don't want to talk about this rather shaming past. So you can understand, in a sense, how both countries didn't really have any interest and any incentive to deal with this particular aspect.
The leaders of the unit returned to Japan as heroes. Their careers flourished, and a memorial was erected in their honour.
Most of them have become big shots of medical society in Japan. And they became, some of them were presidents of top universities in Japan, and the dean of medical schools of top universities in Japan, and one even became chief censor of textbook of Ministry of Education.
And so, 60 years after Unit 731 committed its horrific crimes, a Japanese man and a Chinese woman are still fighting. One for justice, the other for redemption.